All the way from Phoenix, Arizona, Portland, Oregon, and Dallas, Texas. It's the Bros Before Elbows Pro Wrestling Podcast.
All right, welcome to the Bros Before Elbows Pro Wrestling Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Anthony the producer, along with Tommy Guns, and then soon to be joining us here momentarily, hopefully, is T-Money's all the way from Dallas. Wacky times that we live in. Let's jump right in. Let's talk about what everybody's talking about, and also bring in some pro wrestling. Yeah, wild times that
I just can't. I mean, like I said, we're together, all three of us, on March 4th. Now 2 weeks later, and the world's completely changed. Even from last Wednesday, March 11th, like the world's changed from that. I think what was it, a week ago, NBA shut down, Major League Baseball shut down spring training, like, and that all seemed like coming to back-to-back days. And like a week later, like you said, in every one city it's different. Like bars and restaurants are shutting down everywhere. Like not curfew. I'm like, I mean, it's kind of like a curfew, like where they shut down and they're only doing like takeout and. Like at least last night here in Phoenix, anecdotally, like I guess that was Tuesday night. Tuesday night was St. Patrick's Day, and around in the afternoon, around lunchtime. Now it's 8:00. All bars and restaurants are closing. It's like on the day of St. Patrick's Day, and yeah, man, it's just like I think we're all living like day by day, almost like hour by hour of this thing. Like it seems like new layers, like you said, new chapters get added to the story every minute. And we're just kind of like, no one's ever lived through this, man. I mean, I don't think anyone under the age of like what I mean, unless you lived through World War like II or something. I mean, I don't know if anyone else is compared to anything like that. This is a global pandemic. We've never seen anything like this in our lifetime.
No, the amount of change, just as you said, from 1 week ago to where we are now. I mean, it's literally it is page by page. And we're finding out more information literally day by day. And I mean, it's hard, you know, it's hard not to let it affect you. And at the same time, it's like trying to keep, like a positive attitude and you know, trying to be pragmatic and try to be helpful where you can. But yeah, it's at times, man, it's kind of scary.
It's definitely weird, man, because like 1 week we're like, okay, or one day, it's not even a week. One day we're like, okay, no crowds above 50. You can't go anywhere. Or I think it started at 200. The number started at 200. Like, no, you can't gather. No, actually 1,000. Like it had to be like $9.99. I think in California was implementing that. And like, okay, no gathering above 1,000. Then it dropped down to 200. Then it dropped down to 50. And now like yesterday or 2 days ago, it's down, no crowds bigger than 10 people. Like it's getting like the grips keep getting tighter, and it's kind of you kind of like adjust as you go, man. Kind of like just roll with the punches.
You know, if this is what we got to do to help everyone out, right? Limit the amount of people needing, you know, hospital care. I think that's like that's just the main premise, right? Like it's gosh, it's crazy. A funny little thing that came to me. I was scrolling through my buddy's Facebook page, and it was a tweet, and the tweet says, so it's like people, and then the little, what is it? Not asterisk, but not semicolon, but the one that's like two dots. You're a grammar guy. I don't know the name of that. Either way, it's like people, and then colon. Okay, so it is. Okay, cool. Yeah, colon. Oh, I'm in finance, bro. I don't do grammar.
Toss numbers at you, man.
Either way,
figure out a number way to explain it. Yeah.
Right. It says people. I want 2020 to be like the roaring 20s. Earth. All right. Infectious disease is spreading. People. No, not like that. Earth. The U.S. stock market is tanking. People. Wait. Earth. Laugh my ass off. Bars can't be open anymore.
Got prohibition, got the stock market crashing, got the Spanish flu, we got the coronavirus. Man.
Oh my
yeah, dude,
gosh.
100 years later, man. I mean, even when like people like when the it first started leaking out, like maybe a month ago, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, people were saying like, you know, scientists have been saying like we're overdue, like the planet Earth is overdue for like a pandemic or like a big like massive like disaster, something like that, like a massive earthquake, like flooding, or like it's due for something like that. It's due for something like I mean, I mean, hard to. One other thing during this, it's hard to separate the conspiracy theorists from like the actual science, and then like what you read on the internet versus like what you hear anecdotally. Just like someone says something, and it's like, oh, okay. All that to my toolbox of like my Wikipedia page in my head of coronavirus, or is that true or is that not? It's like it's hard to tell what's real and what's not, which is kind of adds some kind of like nervousness to it.
That's what's crazy. I mean, obviously, for major sports to be shut down, I'm tying it into wrestling, right? Like the fact that WrestleMania is going to be now, it's over 2 days, and hell, we're learning day by day
change,
what's happening with this. But at first, it was we're holding out, and then Tampa was like, no, this is no, we're not going to let you guys have. Because the big thing with WrestleMania is like we boast 500 million people in attendance, and it's like that's the worst. That can't be. And so they just wanted to hold out, rightfully so. And now it's not going to be 16 matches, at least from my understanding, and it's going to be held in an empty arena.
Yeah, it's held at the WWE Performance Center, where they like go to train people, and they have like a ring in the center of the thing and a couple cameras. They did SmackDown and Raw the same way, and it was just weird. It looked very odd. It's not going to feel like a WrestleMania. And like you said, the NBA is delaying their season. MLB's canceled their spring training and delaying their season. Like, I'm excited. I don't know how to feel about WrestleMania. I don't know how I feel wrestling going, like putting their heads down, just keep walking forward. I don't know if that's like, can they just like put a pause button on it for 2 or 3 months and just come back and just do WrestleMania? If they're going to do WrestleMania indoors in a closed set, why can't they do that in like June or July or I don't know, or wait till this whole thing blows over and put it in an arena or something like that, like a basketball arena or a baseball stadium or something like that. But it's like,
I don't know.
It's weird, like, because like all these leagues and all these stuff, like they put off stuff, they delayed stuff, delayed production like on movies and like TV shows and stuff, and like they don't set like an end date, like, oh, we're gonna be back on May 1st or June 1st. Like they don't even know. Like these are people who like know everything. They're like the ins and outs of millionaires and billionaires. Like they know, they have like the inside scoop on stuff, and they don't even know. They don't even want to say like a tentative date, like write it in pencil. So that's kind of like scary. Like they don't even know.
Oh, that's what's wild, man, to hear just that there's still so much unknown, and it's again just you got to postpone things, right? Like if they didn't have SmackDown or Raw or whatnot for a couple of months, it would be interesting. Let's just hypothetically just kind of like play this out. Sure, it'd be a bummer. Obviously, people are dealing with no, hockey or or basketball or baseball. But I think like when it does come back, like if wrestling came back, like WWE would be like, okay, cool. Like, do they just pick up where they left off, or did it give them a chance to maybe reignite some new feuds and maybe like I don't know, you know what I mean? Like,
impossible to break down because we've never been in this situation before. But I feel like if the NBA and Major League Baseball and NHL and like the Kentucky Derby is supposed to be in May, they bumped it back to September. Like Coachella was supposed to be in April, they've done bumped back all the way back to October. Like fans already used to. We already got stuff taken away from us. Like take away WWE, take away pro wrestling. It's not gonna. We'll just watch the WWE Network or watch a new thing on Netflix or something, man. I don't know. So I'm totally torn, man. I'm just like, yeah, like other pro sports and like movies in Hollywood and stuff aren't taping anymore. So why not? Like what is WWE thinking? Like why are they still plowing ahead? And even at AEW tonight, they filmed from the owner of AEW is the owner of Jacksonville Jaguars of the NFL. So they did like their training complex, and they put a ring in it and cameras and chairs around it, and they put on a show tonight. And I think they're recording for next week tonight too as well. So they're doing back-to-back shows. Get 2 in the can and see what happens. But it's like there's no NBA today. There's no college basketball. There's no golf tournaments. There's no nothing. Like, are we going to lose out if we lose pro wrestling for 2 or 3 months? Is it really that like worth it? I really don't think it is. I'm torn.
Yeah. Is there pro darts, pro bowling, pro chess, anything?
I don't know, man. Like, yeah, I don't follow anything close, but like, I don't think. Yeah, just like this past weekend, man. It's like, don't watch sports. Like, just like go outside. Oh, you can't really go outside. I was saying take a walk or go to the park, but you can't really do that. Do some puzzles indoors, play some video games. Check on what's going on Hulu. I don't think hang out in your backyard. Start a podcast.
Yeah, right. Like time to get creative. I think that's, I'd urge our fans, our international listeners, like stay safe and all that. But if you're doing some creative stuff, like show us what you're creating. I don't know. Maybe now's the time you take up harmonica and like broadcast it on YouTube or something, or you start knitting or crocheting, or you write a story or something. I don't know. Like, I think if people are going to have to be at home for a while, then, bust out some creative stuff. I'm debating on just writing some songs and just, making them up on the fly and putting them out there just to, why not? Right. I don't know. I think if anything, what we're seeing is really rapid change, but within that, creativity comes from constraints. So as interesting as it is, with WrestleMania being in the Performance Center and SmackDown being in an empty audience, and same with Raw, it's very fascinating to see what's going to happen and what the creativity comes of this.
It's interesting, like, yeah, because I was gonna say, like, even though sports are shutting down, like, they're still doing like TV newscasts and stuff, like. So, I mean, I guess that's different. The thing about wrestling is you have to be close to someone. There's 3 people in the ring, the two people in the referee, and it's like like this whole social distancing wasn't even like a phrase I ever heard of before the coronavirus. So you have to keep. I think it used to be 2 feet away. It's one of those things that has grown 2 feet away, then 3 feet. Now it's like 6 feet away. You have to be 6 feet away from people. Like, that's physically impossible if you're doing a pro wrestling match or taping a show. So it's completely going against the guidelines of what all government officials and medical experts are recommending. So, man, I guess even taping a TV show, probably, because you had the camera people, the desk people, the producers. I guess maybe they can keep it under 10 people, but I don't know. It's weird times. Have you been watching the news at all, or like where are you getting your information from on the coronavirus? Mostly, is it online? Is it through talking to people in your life, at work, or what's the main source of information?
Yeah, I mean, I get news articles from let's see, like CNBC, Reuters, Economist. Read a lot of Yahoo Finance, because that has a bunch of different, it's like a bunch of different aggregated news sources: Market Watch, Investopedia, Barron's. What else? MSNBC. Let's see what else. A lot of Twitter. I mean, really, like, I mainly use Twitter as my news source. Yeah. So LA Times, New York Times, Washington Post. Man, what else? And then, I have access to different white papers and different, advisor only content from, different analysts, and what their views are, and what to understand, and all that stuff. So I'm constantly reading the news, and I think that's really bad.
Know it's hard, man. It's hard to keep on that balance. I found that like last Thursday, for example, I think so that was right after everything, but before I tried to keep the timeline. I was like right before a bunch of stuff, but right after a bunch of stuff, and I was like, I feel like I was reading too much news, and like I was staying up late watching like Joe Rogan's podcast. He had like a professor from the University of Minnesota who's worked at the Mayo Clinic out there, and he was just talking about it. So I was like watching that for like 15, 20 minutes. It's like ingesting all that, reading, like you said, reading Twitter, and like it's hard to balance. And then talking to people at work or something, so they're getting stuff on their news feed, people stuff from their friends. So got that take. Come home, got take from my wife Crystal, like what's her perspective, and like on like you're getting all these perspectives and all this like things firing at you, and like you have to filter it all. It's a lot of stuff to filter, and like, am I taking in too much of this? Am I reading too much on it? Am I too much information that's making me like paranoid, or am I not getting enough, or am I not getting the right information? It's hard to strike that balance. And then like, I think like Friday, the next day, I just read all like video game stuff, and like even if it was like sports stuff, I did not like even click on it, like if it, because it had something to do with coronavirus. So I'd like read video game stuff, like movie reviews, just like old like long reads on like Hollywood productions and like TV stuff. And I was just trying to avoid anything. So I took the opposite approach the next day. I think I kind of found a balance, but then you get sucked right back into it as like new stuff gets announced.
That's the tough part. I think for anybody, you know, it's and this is, and again, this is, you know, things that just happening in the world of, you know, finance and stuff. It's perspective, right? Like the damage is done, and, you know, events aside, you know, it's you know, bear market or whatnot, but all is to say is that, you know, if you get too consumed in it, then it's like, it really does mentally put you in a bad spot. And it's, you know, it sounds so crappy, but it's going to be what it's going to be. And I think if, you know, having the oversight of like, okay, I got to do what I got to do. And that's, you know, wash my hands, be cognizant of like touching my face.
That's really hard, man. Like every time I cough or sneeze, I'm like, oh crap. Like when I was like in a public place, I was like, pretty much the last weekend we could do farmers markets for Crystal's business, for Crystal's bakery. It was like a lot of them canceled, but like last weekend was a lot of them like were there. So I was like walking around the farmers market, like it was like everyone was at reduced capacity, but like every time like someone like sneezed, or if like I sneezed or like touched my face, I'm like, oh crap. Like, like, is everyone like looking at me now, or like, I don't know. And then like the touch your face thing, like is something you don't think about, and like how much you actually do it, like by accident just throughout the day. But then you're like conscious of it. It's like, whoa, I touch my face a lot, or try not to. Yeah.
Yeah. I think too, mainly it's like putting it in orifices, right? Like touching your mouth, touching your eye, putting your finger in your nose. You know, stuff like any place like that, like that's because it comes from droplets, right? So if that's the virus itself, then, you know, containing it like in your elbow, or, you know, like just like constantly being aware of how your bubble, right? Of like your 6 foot bubble. But if that's what we got to do, man, I mean, if suppression is the biggest thing, and like, if that's what's got to be done, then that's what's got to be done, man. We all got to do our part. And if, you know, I'll say it right now, if you're one of those assholes hoarding, you know, toilet paper and all that stuff, it's like, come on, like, that's not how this works, right? Like, that's so messed up, especially to the older, you know, to older generations and older folk, where it's like, they're not going to, come on, man, they're not going to put up with that shit. Like, that's, I'll bleep that out, but like they're not gonna put up with that. Like that's not fair, right?
Oh,
like,
sorry, you're skipping out there for a second. What were you saying?
Oh no, that's kind of my quick rant.
Monster. Okay, if I'm the only one right here, and what I was gonna say is, yeah, it's one of those things. Like, is it through your germs on your contact, or is it airborne? Because I mean, again, this is one of the things I heard like last week. It was airborne. Like if you cough, it's already done. Like it stays in the room wherever you are for a couple hours, like kind of inundated in it. Does it matter? Like it does matter. You're washing your hands really good and like making sure you're not touching everyone and social distancing, all that. But if like it's an airborne virus, so you can so much. That's partially why the quarantine best thing we can do right now. But yeah, it's just like one of those. There's so many facts about this right now, and like you said, you don't know. Like, is it airborne? Is it like Is it like surface based, or how long the virus live? It's just like so many questions, and I don't know. Don't know all the right answers. Darren, are you with us now?
Oh, he made it. All right.
What's up, man? What's up in you're right in the Midwest. What's going on?
Just out running the streets and like going out drinking. I think some people I know were trying to go out like last night because it was St. Patty's. I was like, are you crazy? Like every time I wake up, somebody new has this virus, like some celebrity or some guy, like someone on the staff of like the Reds or some baseball team had it. You know, Kevin Durant has it. Idris Elba has it. You know, you never know who has it. So, like, I don't know. It's going crazy. A lot of us are in panic because of, you know, the fact that our income comes from, like, serving and tips and whatnot. And there's none of that really going on right now because I think you can only do takeout and delivery only. So our company's trying to figure out ways to combat that for people. We don't. Some people are going to like extreme panic mode. Like people are talking about conspiracies and like martial law and all this. I'm like, I don't think we're going to get that far.
People were joking
like
about
summer's right around. Someone got robbed at a some people were supposed to get robbed at Costco's, I guess.
Oh my gosh.
Someone got shot at a Walmart in Midland, Texas. I don't even know where Midland is. I'm just like, dude, I'm just thinking about the fact that we've never in our life ever seen this before in our lifetime. And I don't know where the end is. So like, I'm willing to ride it out. It's going to be very tough financially, but you know, it's like, it is what it is, you know? It is what it is. It's like quarantine is cool. It sucks, but it's cool. Cause like, you can't really do anything, but there's so many ways you could probably entertain yourselves that you probably never think of on a daily basis. And that's another thing, like the spectrum of the fact that like everything we're used to is shut down.
Your soapbox, man. You're panicking in your soapbox. Your soapbox of epic proportions, man. You came in.
I'm not panicked though. I'm chilling.
You're not chilling. You came on a 5-minute epic rant, dude. You said 7 different things. You such a
Brodie Lee is the exalted one.
No, we haven't even talked about wrestling yet.
That's fine. You're probably not going to. There's a pandemic happening, you know. I'm just letting you know what people in Texas. You asked me what Texas was saying. I'm here to give it to you on a hot, cold plate.
You gave it, man. You can't serve it fresh, man. You served me in a 10-course meal. I thought I was getting a 2-piece combo and a soda.
How much water do you guys have in your house?
We did buy a water filter, man. So it's kind of like
you're smart. You're good.
It was like an endless fight against like. Actually, I went yesterday to get water. I went to the grocery store to get other stuff to get tofu, which is still in abundance, which I kind of laughed at. No one still wants to buy any no tofu. I went to get tofu for dinner, and then I checked the water section. It was better than it was last week because the fries by us or grocery store by us is only 1 water per person. So I grabbed one anyway, even though we bought like a Brita water system over the weekend, just because like we were just like this last week. Yeah, every time we went to the store, no water left. Like the police shut out.
Dude.
Like,
and toilet paper. What's with the toilet paper, man? Like, why are people going crazy for TP? I don't get it.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Just trying to buy a sense of control. That's what it is. It's like,
yeah,
it's
Have you been
just
to
one of
the
those
stores,
things.
Anthony?
No, I've been avoiding them.
You've been avoiding. Like I think I've gone to Walmart every day for the last few days. I've just been trying to find
insane, man. You were crazy.
No.
It was like freaking Mad Max.
Yeah, I'm not even buying a bunch of stuff though. I'm just going to look for like meat and water. That was it. And they don't have it any of those days. It hasn't been 3 days in a row. It's just been like each day I might venture to a different Walmart and be like, oh, there's some water here. Today I did find water. It was Fiji water. That stuff is expensive. It was $7 for a 6-pack of Fiji water. And then I got like this natural geyser, but I'm not like freaking out. Like
I'm not freaking out. You're freaking out.
You're talking at a higher pace than usual.
That was because I was trying to get on this podcast, and I'm pretty sure my thing's still not connected to the internet. My computer. I'm not really freaking out. Everyone else is like, "What are we gonna do?" I'm like, "We're gonna ride it out." You know, it's gonna get hot outside. Virus can't really live in heat, supposedly.
That's I heard. I mean, that's what people say, but I mean, like, it's just gonna come back it's not gonna just go away. It's
exactly.
So it's like, yeah,
that won't really curb it. There has to be an eventual cure, but I'm just as in the dark as anyone else. I've just been watching the news, seeing who comes up with it. But I'm like, I'm not freaking out. I'm just like, okay, so they have it. They have symptoms. Okay, so they stay home. I don't know what they prescribe to you. And then eventually they either beat it or it could obviously advance and be awful. But, you know, the percentages are like, that's the thing. Like, the percentage of deaths and stuff isn't crazy high, but the fact that it's spreading
could be a couple million though.
Yeah, I know. That's insane. I'm telling you, there's been all types of stuff. People have said natural selection. One person said Thanos. I've heard so many things.
Thanos, you personally slap him for me and tell him, hey, man, you can give him my address. And
it's just, I don't know. And then there's the angry people that are mad at like the turning into like a race thing with the fact that it came from Asia, I guess. I'm just like, dude, this was going to come no matter what, one way or another. We were going to face this. Unfortunately, like, it was just a rough 2020, Kobe died, this happened, like, there's just a lot of wild stuff happening. I'm not comparing them. That was bad enough. 2020 has been a rough start. Let's just say that, okay?
2020 has been like, it's a whole new decade, man. It's not the 2000s or the teens, the 90s, man. Like, it's a whole new decade, and this is off to a weird start, man. Like, it's something we've never. Yeah, we're all 80s babies, and like, I don't even know. There's nothing to compare it to. Like you said earlier, there's no like point of reference.
I don't know. When I knew it was like, and it's funny because a month ago I was like laughing with you. Well, I was laughing. I was like, this isn't serious. It'll be fine. And then, like, not even. It was
earlier in the month. That was March 4th. Yeah, it was like, we were supposed to talk about the coronavirus, and like, it was on our outline, and we just talked about how bad WWE was.
Oh my God! I totally slept on it. I was like, man, the coronavirus will be fine. Zika, Ebola, swine flu, it's all the same. And then like, I think 3 days later, which was about a week ago, they canceled like all basketball, like right before my eyes.
Yeah.
I just witnessed things just stopping, like conference tournaments, and NBA obviously was first, and then just like more and more events shutting down. I was like, okay, so this is a real thing. Well, I guess get comfortable with a good book or your Netflix or your Hulu or whatever. Make sure you got some water, because the grocery stores will never close. I think, as far as I know, I'm not really sure how that will work though.
I don't know, man. If they do, then that's really if that closes, or that and the pharmacies and gas stations, I think would probably be the last three things standing. And if those three things close, then then you talked about the martial law, the purge scenario. That's not good.
That's not good at all. Who's ready for a real purge? I've only seen the first movie.
Oh my God. So,
hey, what else are you guys talking about, man?
So, on a side note, really, we've just been talking about this. On a side note, real quick, you talk about a good book. I finished Moby Dick.
Nice.
On audiobook. It was 18 hours long.
Oh my gosh!
It took me like over a year of like kind of on and off listening and stuff.
You did talk about it before.
Yeah, and finally I was like, I just got to finish this thing. I got like 6 hours left. Like, I just got to do this. And it's really good. Oh my gosh, it's a really good book. Damn, it is good. But it's really long. Audio books go. But it was good though. So I mean, if you got time, if you're gonna be at home, right? Like, catch up on some, like Tommy and I were talking about, like catch up on some wrestling, catch up on some Netflix, some Hulu, or listen to a good audiobook, right? Like Moby Dick, 18 hours long, right? That's binge listen to Moby
Is that
Dick.
A thing? Binge listening audiobooks?
Oh my gosh, man. If people started doing that, it'd be different. Why not, right? The world's changing. Might as well binge listen. You heard it here first. The Bros Before Elbows Pro Wrestling Podcast. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. Subscribe on Podbean and iTunes, and binge listen audiobooks. Starting with Moby Dick.
You hit that drop almost at exactly 30 minutes into the podcast. That's pretty impressive.
Really? I wasn't even looking at the time.
It's 29 minutes and 30 seconds when you started it.
Whoa. So real quick, you'll probably hear a different audio thing happening on the podcast. I started recording the Skype conversation when Theron came in, being that he doesn't have his mic and is having some technical difficulties. So the beginning of the show, first like 20 something minutes, will be me and Tommy, and then we'll the audio might change a little bit. So to those listeners out there who have critiqued our audio, it rightfully so. Hey man, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Just giving a heads up. But yeah, so man, you should pick up an audiobook, and if you can't go to the library, you can get a library membership for free, and you can download audiobooks that way, or comic books, magazines.
The libraries are closed.
No, you can probably go online. You can go online and probably get a membership.
Oh, true.
I hope so. Yeah, I probably get. I think you used to be able to like download stuff online. Yeah, if you're a member of the library, you could. That was like 3 or 4 years ago. Then I got banned from the library from not returning stuff. So
the thing is, if you do it online, then it'll say like it's on your device for 20 something days, and then after that, it just automatically takes it from you.
Might take 20 something days to listen to Moby Dick.
Well, I'm just saying, a comic book or something that you're trying. I don't know, whatever. You guys are crazy, but
what else is going on in the entertainment world? Or
let's talk about this real quick. Because before Theron's soapbox rants of panic mode,
I'm not panicking.
I'm not freaking out, bro. You're freaking out. I'm not freaking out, dude. You're freaking out.
You gotta listen back to the audio, man. There, you gotta listen out,
bro. That's freaking out, brother.
You're gonna hurt your throat, dude. You're gonna hurt your throat, man.
Yeah, and then you're gonna start coughing, and people are gonna think you have it.
But no, Theron came in, kicking down the door, right, and saying, "There's a new leader in AEW."
Sorry. Hello?
Sorry. Yeah,
I was taking a swig of wine. Sorry.
Oh, I thought you said who is it?
Yeah. Who is it, dude? Tell me about it. You know about it. I don't know Jack Dingus.
I actually moved recently to an apartment in Carrollton, Texas. So I live in Dallas now. But anyway, so I can't watch it. Well, actually, I can't. We have, I'm gonna do this year here and then venture back to the Southwest. Hopefully, the coronavirus will have ceased to exist by then. Anyway, not right now, but next summer, May, June, you're gonna see me back in Phoenix for good. Everything was normal then. Anyways, I was just like scrolling through Instagram and they put like the video package out that tonight was the big bad reveal of the big bad booty daddy, or the exalted one, which turns out to be Brodie Lee, the artist formerly known as Luke Harper. Yes, he's the leader of the Dark Order. That's what you've been waiting for. Matt Hardy is with AEW.
Wait, can you come on, man? We didn't get to talk about that topic. You just talked to the better topic. Oh, by the way, here's the ending of the movie. Anywho, you just played the trailer and then you played the last 2 minutes of the movie. News. 5 seconds. It's not breaking anymore. We're on a podcast. There's no breaking podcast. I was gonna say
someone will listen to this podcast from their quarantine.
Hopefully, I hope we get some good new listeners and more captive audience. You guys can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Listen to our podcast. But like I said, I was talking to Anthony about, I don't know if it was even recording or if it was before our pre-show meeting. AEW had their Dynamite episode, their Wednesday night show from the Jacksonville Jaguars training center, where they popped a ring in there, some cameras, an announce desk, and some chairs around the ring barrier, and they filled it up with wrestlers, like heels on one side and faces on the other, which is kind of cool dynamic throughout the night. But and they probably had their best maybe in the last 3 or 4 months, just because it was a new environment, and just because they were, like Anthony said, like there's experimenting more. But yeah, a big part top of the first hour, they tried out the Dark Order, the cult like AEW faction. Evil Uno made a big like promo, and they cut to the back, and there's this guy in a hood and looked like a hooded, like white hood, like black stripes, like almost like a Mortal Kombat character or something. And he started talking like through a voice box, and he kept going. His voice changed a couple more times, and he takes off the hood, and it's Brodie Lee, aka Luke Harper. And then you hear Brodie Lee cut a promo for like a minute, which is like probably longer than Luke Harper talked in like it's like 12 months. Last 12 months in WWE, which is, he cut a damn good promo. It was good to hear his voice, man, and hear him talking, and it was nice change of pace.
What does he sound like?
That was the thing, man. He sounded like he doesn't really have an accent. He just sounded like a big hulking dude, like a big 7-foot guy who's like burly a little bit, but yeah, he changed his voice up a little bit, but I don't really remember him talking too much in WWE, which is just like He's talked with Bray Wyatt for a little bit, but he said, he didn't really say much. He had those Legend Brothers promos they're cutting the farce are pretty bad, pretty cheesy. But man, this was good, man. He cut a good promo. I'd say seek it out on YouTube, and it was a good reveal. But it was a reveal, but there was no crowd. Absolutely no crowd. Just the announcers, Taz, Excalibur, and JR. But it was still done really good. And yeah, it was a really good debut. And I'm excited for Luke Harper, man, aka Brodie Lee, to like a fresh set of matchups and a fresh set of creative. So it sucks they had to do it in front of a no crowd, but I think it was the right move because they don't really know when their crowd's going to return. So
all I've ever heard him say is "Wah," when he does his gator roll. That was it. It's like the only promo I've ever heard him cut.
Darren, did you hear any of the promo or just see the video on Instagram?
I saw the video package. It was like 3 minutes. So did he cut the promo like in the ring, or was that part of his video package?
That's part of his video package, yeah. And then
I saw it.
He booted someone in the face. Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian, I think.
Oh no!
Destroyed them. Yeah.
It. Just showed the video package, so I didn't get to see that. I'm gonna have to look for that somewhere on some internet. No, it's cool though. I mean, they've been talking about it, so it was kind of not a secret, but they kind of kept it. Kept us guessing for a little while, thinking it could be Matt Hardy or be Brodie Lee, but obviously it's the Brodemeister trying out new things. Weird that they again, doing things from a empty arena. Like, I feel like a big part of the story is the fans, but it seems like AEW might have did a nice little plot twist by having like heels and faces on one side or the other. So. Still get
it was good, man. It was MJF and Sean Spears, Tully Blanchard, Jake Roberts, like Lance Archer on one side. Sammy Guevara joined them for a couple times. And then the other side was Colt Cabana, Joey Janela, SCU was over there. On the face side, it was cool. They started like dueling chants, and they did all like the spots, and like they sung along to Chris Jericho's song. They started like doing a Jungle Boy chant, like it was pretty cool. It was cool. It's the best of what they could do, and I definitely don't want to criticize WWE too much on this episode because I feel like we did that last episode so much, and it's like a weird circumstance.
we can let them breathe for a week.
Okay, true.
Unless you want to criticize them. Did you want to criticize them?
I was gonna say Raw and SmackDown like really sucked. Like they did the same thing like they always do. I don't. It's hard, like you said, it's hard to criticize them, but like. I want to give them leeway because they've never been here before, but then again, you're like $1 billion company, and you got like all this production, all these writers, all these smart creative people, all these smart wrestlers going on. Like you get some leeway, but still, man, like you still got to put us out something entertaining. I don't know at the end of the day, but I don't know.
None of the storylines were good at all on either show. They were all from the Performance Center, right?
Yeah, I felt like John Cena for Bray Wyatt did really good. Edge cut a really good promo.
Yeah.
And
that's a last man standing match we're getting supposedly on April 5th from the Performance Center, which will now be a 2-night event hosted by Rob Gronkowski.
That is so weird too, man. Like,
yeah,
what the hell, man? Like, he's not like a TV host. He's just like a goofy like thing. I don't know. Like, I guess WrestleMania hosts really don't do too much, but yeah, I think that's a weird choice. But
I think he was on like New Year's Eve. He was on the New Year's Eve, and he like with one of those local channels, and I think he pissed off Steve Harvey on that New Year's Eve because he got drunk and like threw his trophy on the ground or something.
I think what's funny is that Gronkowski is more over the 3 times that I've ever seen him on WWE than Mojo has ever been.
That's so true. Yeah,
that's sad.
Isn't that like? And I get they're really good buddies, they're best friends, but it's like Mojo is. You know, he could have so much going for him, but for some reason he's just Mojo, dude. And like Gronkowski can just do whatever and everybody loves it. And he's not even a wrestler.
I think Mojo's working out of like a big hole because first of all, his name is Mojo Rawley. So like that's like an automatic like ceiling on what that dude can do. And then he was really raw. He was a football player learning how to be a wrestler on the fly. Probably got too much TV time too soon. He always came out like goofy, like bright trunks. Then he got attached to Zack Ryder. And these are like all 3 strikes against him already. And then like his moveset was really never really that cool. He had a weird, stupid finisher for a while. It's just like, yeah. I mean, he's digging himself out of a hole, man. And then he won the Andre the Giant Battle Royal that one time. And they did nothing with it. Did that happen? Is that a thing we remember? Or is I'm just making that up? I don't remember.
No, I'm pretty sure he did win it. And yeah, you aren't making it up.
They did nothing with it. So like, I mean, you're giving all these reasons to fans or not to take him seriously. So it's like, dude's digging himself out of a hole. And part of it is WWE creative just not giving him anything to work with.
They move on from storylines. Well, not all the time. Obviously, Baron Corbin and Roman Reigns lasted for like 8 months, but they move on from a lot of storylines. Or just
you're Skyping out, bro.
So fast there, like it's like they don't care. What? You Skyped out. It was hard. I don't know what happened.
Oh no, you were Skyping out.
Doing Skype chants.
Weird. No, I was just saying they move on from people so fast. Like I've been watching. Well, now I'm all caught up, but I watched all that Ruthless Aggression era stuff on the network, and you get to see the behind the scenes of how a lot of people were. The last one I want to say, I watched all that, and then I watched like the FCW thing on there as well. And a lot of people, they make them be these characters that suck, and like a lot of times these people like can't recover from that. I think that's probably what happened with Mojo. Like they saw the size, they threw him on TV real fast. I think he was on NXT. It was, we don't get hype, we stay hype, blah blah blah. Did the Mojo Rawley or the Hype Bros thing, and then they tried to turn him into like a mutant. I think like a part of like Magneto's crew, because he had like the weird lightning bolt over his face. He's wearing that weird gear. Then he was 24/7 champ for like 2 weeks, and then he just moved on to Riddick Moss. Like like I don't know. It's just WWE constantly fails with putting over the lesser stars. They just only focus on the top of the card, and they're even doing bad with that. Like, it's awful. Are you guys hearing any of this?
Sorry, yep. We heard it. I was trying to yeah. Sorry, WWE. We're trying to give you like a pass this week. The whole global pandemic thing you're working under. Throw 3 under the bus.
I heard there's a conspiracy that's starting rumors about WWE, but they're trying to say that the WrestleMania is not going to happen because Orlando is going to shut it down. And then WWE can collect some insurance money and then move the event to Madison Square Garden in like June or July. Have you seen this headline? It's complete blasphemy, I think.
It's not the worst conspiracy. It's better than the Thanos one you're saying. So, I mean, after they set that bar that low, I mean, everything else is
very
like
low. I think the world is just going mad. It was already going mad before this, and now it's like going even more mad. But
Darren, what do you think about them doing they're doing WrestleMania, the grand stage of the Granddaddy of them all, the showcase of the Immortals. They're doing it inside the Performance Center over 2 nights, splitting the card down the middle, limited, no audience, no fans. Should they be even doing this, or should it take a page out of the NBA and March Madness, Kentucky Derby, all stuff that's delayed their thing or just canceled it outright? Should WWE be delaying it until like the end of the summer, or should they be canceling it outright and just move on and just move right to SummerSlam? What do you think is the best approach? Like do a half-ass WrestleMania or just do what they're doing? Or
they can't do a half-ass WrestleMania.
They are doing a half-ass WrestleMania.
Yeah.
What they're doing was the half-ass WrestleMania. I thought that was option B. I don't agree with what they're doing. I think it's not. I don't know. I guess wrestling's the only people that are willing to continue to fight in the midst of a virus. They're obviously staying in one area, but there's going to be more than 10 people at any given time to put on the show. Am I right or wrong? Like you got at least 2 wrestlers in the ring. You just said that tonight it was an empty arena and had heels and faces. That sounded like 10 people right there.
Oh yeah, easily. AEW went way overboard, and they did a fatal 4-way women's match. They did like a two tag matches. I mean, they did an 8-man match. Now that I think of it, they did the 6-man match. They did 3 inner circles and 3 people from the Elite in the main event tonight. So yeah, I mean they were just going way over. Yeah.
But their show was good. I don't think you can use the biggest show of the year, the granddaddy of them all, whatever, which hasn't been built that great yet. I wasn't excited before all this. Now you're going to put it in the Performance Center You're going to have Gronk hosted. Gronk is pretty green on everything. He's been playing football. I just think it's going to be bad. Like it's gonna, and I think they're trying to look at it as, well, this is positive for the fans and this and that. But I would have just postponed it, man. I would have just been like, you know what? You guys win. The universe wins, So at least till everything calms down. I don't know. What did you guys say? You guys agree with them putting on a janky show?
I don't think WWE is gonna. I don't think Vince is gonna give up.
No,
not having a show. Like,
right?
Can you imagine that? Like, hey Vince, listen, here's what's going on. I don't care.
Yeah. He's good buddies with Trump, so I don't know. He might know something we don't, but I
don't think Trump knows, man. I don't think Trump knows.
I don't think that guy even knows, bro. Hey Trump, hey, we still gonna do WrestleMania? Oh yeah. We'll have the chess championship. That's
Chess. Those are horrible. The pound per pound worst Vince McMahon impression, followed by the pound per pound worst Trump impression.
It's on the fly, dude. Come on. You not practice either of those. That was just literally top.
No, tell us.
No, but I'm just saying, like, there's no way that man would give up or postpone it. He'd have to find some way of still putting the show on.
Yeah. Just some not even breaking news. I don't know if it's going to be breaking news by the time, because he's like, even the pro wrestling world, just much like the medical world and the current event world, it changes day by day and sometimes hour by hour. But there are reports that for WrestleMania, they're going to record in multiple locations. So they're also going to use the old Titan Towers in Connecticut, WWE's new headquarters in Connecticut, and possibly the 3D Suite at the Performance Center, which I don't know what that is. It says it's
Dude, WrestleMania 2.
Exactly. That's exactly the headline on Cage Side Seats is opening. Sean's opening line there. So that's one thing. And then WWE also issued a statement about the coronavirus that they're testing, that they will test people if they have showing symptoms, but they don't want to test everyone because the virus, the test kits are so like there's not enough of them right now. You can't be just wasting them on. Yeah, they're sparse. So so they're just but you get there and said it's impossible to record a television production, a live television event like Raw, SmackDown, and WrestleMania without going over the 10-person limit. So it's like just by the mere presence of the event, they're already like breaking the rules. So I don't know like what other protocols you can do because you're already it's gonna get out. I don't know if it's ever gonna get out that like some of these wrestlers definitely have. Maybe we'll find out months from now or weeks from now. They have the coronavirus, just like the NBA players. Because this is wrestling, man. They didn't take an off season. They were wrestling right up towards when the NBA got canceled. They were still doing events right up to they had as much contact or maybe even more contact because there's all those people on the road traveling from city to city. They travel more maybe than the NBA because they're traveling 3 or 4 different cities in a week. And wrestling is a lot more physical contact than basketball, man. You're right up next to someone, so.
Yeah,
I mean, it just doesn't. The mathematics just doesn't make sense that no one has come out that a wrestler or someone from the pro wrestling community has the coronavirus. Maybe they're just not getting tested, or they're just not keeping on the hush because they're not like as well respected as the NBA, so they can keep stuff like quiet better. So that's kind of weird to think about. There's probably someone on the WWE or AEW roster right now walking around with coronavirus and spreading it to everyone.
Spreading it all over. Yeah, it spreads quick because the thing with like the Nets players was none of them, they hadn't even played the Jazz or the Pistons in the last like 2 weeks. But I guess New York has like a very high outbreak going on. So it's being in Brooklyn, you know what I mean? Like it's just like that. But yeah, it wouldn't be surprising. And they probably won't release that information. And then if they do, I mean, what then happens? Like, or would we see them like not use that person randomly? What if it was like a big name? You know what I mean? Say somebody just wrote them off TV and tried to cover it up. Like, that's crazy.
I'm not surprised, man. It's pro wrestling. They could do something like that.
Yeah.
If any industry could do it, yeah. Simple as that, yeah. Go home, stay home for 2 weeks. Write you off for 2 weeks, yeah.
Oh my gosh, bonkers.
Final thoughts, Will? Or was that final thoughts?
Darren, do you see the Matt Hardy thing? Matt Hardy joining AEW? Kind of big news.
I just saw that he's there. There was no real video package yet, I don't think.
Okay, I'll tell you the setup real quick. So the tag team match was there's a tag main event. It was Santana Ortiz and Jack Swagger versus Cody Rhodes, Matt Jackson, and Hangman Page. And the winner of that match gets the advantage in the War Games match next week, which I don't know. So 10 people locked in a double-sided ring. Probably the most unsanitary match in pro wrestling. I guess maybe the Elimination Chamber or the Royal Rumble could be worse. Or World War III when they had the 3 rings and 60 people could probably be the worst coronavirus outbreak. But yeah, so they were fighting for the advantage. The winner gets the first person in, or second person, because starts out 1-on-1, then gets 2-on-1. So anyway, the Inner Circle won. Nick Jackson for the Young Bucks was already out from injury. He got injured last week. Got his head slammed into a garage door in the backstage by the Inner Circle. So he was not here this week. So the Inner Circle was already at a 5-4 advantage. And they won tonight. So Chris Jericho was celebrating it on the mic. Sammy Guevara was doing sit-ups. Jack Swagger was doing push-ups with Sammy Guevara on his back. They were flipping everyone off, and they're just gloating. So then right in the middle of Chris Jericho's speak, you hear a buzzing in the arena, which again is an empty arena. It's sounds like, I thought it's something like an audio break or something, something's going wrong. It's only 2 minutes left in the show. Oh damn, AEW did 2 hours in the last 2 minutes. They messed up their audio. But then it pulls back and you see a drone going down into the ring, and it lands perfect. Nice. It lands perfect in the ring. Everyone's confused. And then Matt Jackson gets on the mic and said, you may have won tonight, and you made one mistake. We're not down 5-4 because I have a friend and he owed me a favor. And then piano music started playing, Phantom of the Opera, dramatic music, and the lights went out really quick, and it turned back up to the behind the ring, the second stage of the arena or wherever they're holding at, and then it was Matt Hardy, and everyone was just holy shit.
Nice.
Everyone was holy shit. And Christian, Inner Circle was shocked. JR was freaking out. And it was a cool moment. It was for, I guess, Matt Hardy's going to be in the War Games match next week.
Dang.
So it was a cool introduction to the kid, man. There was no fans there. There was absolutely no fans there. Oh my gosh, man. Imagine if Matt Hardy showed up in the crowd and it's 15,000 people in the arena. But it was pretty well done, man. So it was cool, man. And Matt Hardy looks cool, man. He had his old robe on. He had he dyed his hair red in the middle instead of gray. So kind of a neat look. So yeah, it was a cool moment, man. It was just again, another moment you should probably go check out on YouTube or Twitter just to see people's reactions and stuff like that. But yeah, man. So Matt Hardy's I don't know if he's part of the Elite, but he's part of the Elite for at least 1 week next week.
That's legit.
Broken.
Yes, he was saying delete. All that stuff. Yeah. So it should be interesting, man.
Well, I'm definitely interested in checking that out.
Once again fumbled. Yeah, me too.
They did, man. WWE definitely. I mean, they had that one mower of lawn, Bray Wyatt versus.
That was good.
Is that what happened? Was that a video?
No, it was a match. Yeah, right. Yeah,
it was a match. Yeah, it was. It was like a compound match. They were trying to do the whatever the original. Oh gosh, what was the original thing?
Final deletion.
Final deletion. Yeah. Which, by the way, is classic. That will forever be, in my mind, one of the coolest matches ever, simply because I have never seen that before. And that to me was the first no arena, no fans, just really cool production. And it was a music video. They had music in the background that was playing to the wrestling match, which I thought was that was really cool. That really made it special. And then, freaking Matt Hardy falling into the sand pit, and then his thing getting lit on fire. That was cool.
What was the name of his worker there? That
oh, fuck.
Senor something.
Senor Benjamin. Senor Benjamin went viral, dude.
Yes. Dude. Oh, that's so good, dude. It's so good. Oh, man. All right. Well, hey, you've been listening to the Bros Before Elbows Pro Wrestling Podcast. Check us out on YouTube, Podbean. Subscribe on Facebook or like us on Facebook. Follow our banter on Twitter. Definitely a lot going on. And just want to say to all of our fans, domestic and international, stay safe, stay strong. You know, do what you can to stay at home as much as you can. We're all in this together, right? We're all in this together. We're all finding creative ways to stay sane and all of that. And as Tommy was talking about, maybe limit the amount of news you read, pick up a book, read some other articles, play some video games, hang out with your family, Skype with your buddies, all that good stuff. Just to, we're in this together. We'll ride this out.
Maybe don't elbow drop your friends this week, people. Just give them a space high five.
Yeah, space high five.
Actually, it's a good time for DB. Self high fives, yeah.